Hey, what is going on, crypto people? It is the Crypto Siege with another day in the life and the crazy life that is the digital asset space. Listen, the market is doing what the market does. Interesting timing, I think, with Brad Garlinghouse going on a little bit of a road show and Stuart Alderoty going on a little bit of a road show. I find the timing of that to be very, very, very fascinating. We're going to share a couple of clips from Stuart Alderoty on CoinDesk TV that I find to be very, very fascinating. We'll talk about that. You know, I said from day one that the SEC certainly does not want this thing to go to some type of jury trial. And if they can come to a settlement in which those Hemin emails are no longer priority number 1A for Ripple, I think that will do well for both that's the win for me. I think the win for me is the SEC is and again, I don't know if they can be part of the settlement or not, but if they don't have to turn over those emails, that's a win for them. But Stuart Alderoty is going to lay it down about what are the chances of a settlement, and I think it's hugely important to listen to what he says because this is not going to be about what the SEC wants more so than what Ripple wants, because Ripple is winning. It doesn't mean that they're winning the summary judgment, but they have been winning and checking a lot of boxes. And these attorneys, these judges, I should say, are very, very smart. Both Honorable Judge Torres and Judge Netburn, just very, very smart. And they know ultimately this is going to come down to the law. And they know this is a precedent-setting case, and they are going to use the law. So, and not allow and understand that the SEC is trying to remake the law. I think it's very, 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 very clear. I've read article after article from securities attorney after attorney after attorney about the SEC stretch of this investment contract, and I think that the judges know this, and I feel really, really good about ultimately what's going to happen. But again, in the Crypto Siege's home, if XRP is not given the clearance, no ambiguity, but the clearance of not being a security sales, without that, Ripple let's go the distance. So we'll see if SEC is willing to do that. So we'll go over that for sure. I also want to remind you guys that the old money doesn't want you to win. Merch is out, both for the ladies and the dudes. The ladies one has been people are really, really pop about that. You can get it in different colors for sure. I think that one is probably the better one right there, but very, very cool stuff, men and ladies. And yeah, if you're interested, definitely check it out for sure. I like this one. This is actually the blue one, but it comes in black and gray as well. But I like the navy. I like the navy blue. That's black. And that is the navy blue. That's the navy blue there. So guys, let's get into it. This is your XRP Ripple daily news in around 0 to 10 minutes. Look at the total cryptocurrency market caps at 983 billion. And that's up 5.4% in the last 24 hours. Wow. Bitcoin dominance is at 37.8%. Bitcoin is at $19,417. Again, Ethereum is at $1,328. Again, look at XRP. XRP is up 42% on the 7-day. On the 7-day. Someone put something out on Twitter, and I agree that perhaps the reason for this movement in the price of XRP was because of the summary judgments. And, you know, you get the hedge funds, institutional players going over that. And it's look like for them, from their perspective, certainly they'll get those briefs to their perspective counsel, and perhaps they're feeling bullish. Perhaps they're feeling really, really bullish based upon the summary judgment briefs entered by both Ripple and the SEC. Perhaps that's the reason. Perhaps that is the reason. Interesting stuff, but there it is. XRP 42% on the 7-day. Nothing is even close. Algorand is 23% on the 7-day. Oh, look at Chili's. Okay, I stand corrected. Chili's up 39.5% on the 7-day. So that is very much in terms of the top 100, close to Ripple being up 42% on the 7-day. So shout out to Chili's and to that asset, the greatest asset ever created, XRP. So let's go over a couple of things here, because I do think it's important to listen to what Stuart Alderoty says. This is a smart guy. I think this is calculated road trip, in my humble opinion, by both Brad and Stuart Alderoty. It's hard to listen when Charlie Gasparino is interviewing Brad, because he doesn't let people speak. So we'll try to suffer through this together. Then we're going to get to Stuart Alderoty.
Look, I think we've reached a point where we know this industry is not going away. It's here to stay. You're talking about $1 trillion of value. And I think ultimately these things, as we've talked about here on this show before, are going to be measured by what utility, what problem are you solving? And so, for him to call it a Ponzi scheme, there's 50 million people here in the United States who have direct exposure to crypto that might disagree with him.
Well, let's get to XRP, because the Twitterverse is going nuts over your appearance right now on Fox Business with Charlie. And XRP, of course, the native coin to the Ripple. Tell me exactly why you think that this jump in price is happening. What news can you give us?
Look, it's hard to know. Honestly, I've watched crypto now, and I've been in the business at Ripple for 7.5 years. I've been in crypto for about 9 years. And it's really hard to know. What I would point to is a couple things. Before the SEC got involved
with you guys,
with us and
oh my gosh, come on already. That was getting good.
Crypto, a decentralized
day, you're talking about $1 trillion of value. And I think ultimately these things, as we've talked about here on this show before, are going to be measured by what utility, what problem are you solving? And so, for him to call it a Ponzi scheme, there's 50 million people here in the United States who have direct exposure to crypto that might disagree with him.
Well, let's get to XRP, because the Twitterverse is going nuts over your appearance right now on Fox Business with Charlie. And XRP, of course, the native coin to the Ripple. Tell me exactly why you think that this jump in price is happening. What news can you give us?
Look, it's hard to know. Honestly, I've watched crypto now, and I've been in the business at Ripple for 7.5 years. I've been in crypto for about 9 years. And it's really hard to know. What I would point to is a couple things. Before the SEC got involved
with you guys,
with us and ETH, because again, there's two factors here. One, XRP was the second most valuable digital asset ahead of ETH, and then around 2018 was a kind of a famous, now infamous speech that kind of anointed
Bill
ETH
Hinman of the corporation finance.
And so, look, I think increasingly, as the summary judgment filings were made public, people realized that maybe the SEC really is overreaching. They really aren't following a kind of faithful allegiance to the law. And that's a quote from the judge in this case. And so I think people are realizing that, the
judge said that it might be. They might not be, right?
No, but the judge said is, one, the SEC is being hypocritical.
Yes.
And two, they said that they were not following a faithful allegiance to the law in pursuit of an outcome. And I think that's what we have here. The SEC, I think, has kind of lost its way. I said yesterday on stage, I think it's cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs.
I was going to ask you that. I mean,
I just think we have to remember the SEC gets its power from statutes passed by Congress. Congress gives the SEC power. The SEC can't just take power. What the power says today, the 1933 Securities Act said that you have to have an investment contract. So as you'll see in our motion for summary judgment, the first step of determining could XRP be a security is you have to have an investment contract. And our point is Ripple doesn't have a contract. With whom is the contract? It's not a written contract, it's not an oral contract, it's not an implicit contract.
So where we are right now in the case?
So the summaries for the motions for summary judgment were just filed last week. They were made public on Saturday, which I'll mention very briefly. We had agreed with the judge and with the SEC to release those on Monday. They jumped the gun. And it's just this constant, I think, disrespect to the court process, and which we've seen time and time again. The judge in this case has ruled 5 different times that the notes associated with that infamous speech we're talking about should be turned over to Ripple. And they we still don't have them.
We still don't have them. So the case, she's going to make a decision on whether it goes to trial or not, or whether she'll just rule from the bench. challenge, right? So
Yeah, I think we expect that there won't be a trial because trials and juries are really to determine if there's uncertainty about facts.
Right.
The facts here really aren't very much dispute. The law is in dispute.
You think she's going to?
We think she has the information to make a ruling, and we think it's very clear that the SEC is grossly overreaching their authority.
Before we go, what is your relationship with this gentleman, Ryan? What's his name? Ms.
Smelkus.
Okay. Anyway, so I guess Charles kind of let him speak there, but I think this tour, this road tour, if you will, is very much coordinated with both Brad Garlinghouse and Stuart Alderoty hitting the road here. But here's another interesting one here, where he's Stuart Alderoty, the genius of a genius lawyer that he is. He's the general counsel for Ripple. This policy of regulation by enforcement is a failed policy. That's quote unquote. Ripple General Counsel Stuart Alderoty says. If I could just get my laptop to cooperate. Take a listen to what he says here. It's really good.
So first, I want to agree that I do believe that this policy in the United States of regulation by enforcement is a failed policy, and it's creating havoc in the marketplace, and that havoc in the marketplace ultimately hurts the very retail consumer that the SEC purports to protect. I think what we're seeing is power and politics elevated over sound policy, and that is not a good thing. To your question, why Ripple? That is a good question. I'm not sure I have a good answer to it. What I will tell you is that the lawsuit was filed on December 22nd, 2020, on the last day of the prior administration when Jay Clayton was the chair of the SEC. The day after the lawsuit was filed, Jay Clayton left office, and within 2 weeks of the lawsuit being filed, the entire senior leadership team that was, I think, involved in the decision to file the lawsuit left the SEC. So why Ripple? I'm not really sure. I think we can all venture a bunch of different guesses. Maybe the SEC was tired of playing whack-a-mole with some smaller tokens, and they felt that if they could go after Ripple and indirectly attack the digital asset XRP, which Ripple relies on to facilitate its cross-border payments, maybe they thought that they can send a broader message to the entire market. But I think what they've learned is that if you challenge a well-resourced company, that well-resourced company can put on a very robust defense and really expose the SEC that what they're doing in this case is not applying the law. It's not a faithful allegiance to the law. They're seeking to remake the law, and they don't have the power to remake the law. Only Congress can remake the law.
Very, very calculated. Nicely done, Stuart. Very, very calculated. Both Brad Garlinghouse and Stuart Alderoty are mentioning, re-emphasizing, and continuing to state that the judge in the case did, in fact, say hypocritical when it comes to the SEC in this process. And then she did also say there's there's an unfaithful allegiance to the law here. And so look, I said it when she said it, when we did the live stream, or we did the video. That again, that was a sounding. Look, that's a shout from the bow. I mean, it's a shout from the rooftop. I mean, all the lawyers and attorneys and judges in Congress that are paying attention to this case, and it's a ton of them. That statement is recorded. It's in the case. It's recorded. Future lawsuits, this phrase was going to come up against the SEC. I really do believe it. And they're going to push this home. And the fact that they're pointing to Congress, that Stuart Alderoty and Ripple are pointing to Congress, and they're really sticking a knife in the side, if you will, of Congress, and saying, look, this is what's going on. This is the SEC they think they're above your approach. They think they're above your oversight. And they're going to continue to say this publicly. So check out this is another thing from Stuart Alderoty here. Interesting stuff.
SEC makes clear
Oh my gosh. Versus up and talks about settlement. Thanks DAI for sharing.
Yes or no? Any settlement on the table?
We've said publicly since day one that this case settles if the SEC makes clear that Ripple sales and distributions of XRP and XRP's trading in the secondary market does not constitute a security. If they're willing to acknowledge that, the case settles and settles very, very quickly. Without that acknowledgement, we have no choice to continue to defend the case, and we're defending the case not only on behalf of Ripple, we're really defending this case on behalf of the entire crypto industry. Because if we're not going to get clarity through regulatory rulemaking, and we're getting deliberate confusion brought upon the market. If we're not going to get clarity through the legislative process, and there's some good faith efforts to make that work, the only other place that where you can get clarity is through the judicial process, the litigation process, and that's where we're going to get it.
Yes.
And I like that. Yes or no. Yes or no. And are you going to settle? And he just made it perfectly clear that they don't get clarity on the sales of XRP not being a security. Period. Period. They've made it perfectly clear this is what they want. So, it's looking more, it's sounding more and more like John Deaton is correct. That on this whole settlement front, we shall soon see. I still believe on the settlement, but we shall soon see. Is the SEC going to cave on that? We shall soon see. What's the middle ground? I don't know. I know a lot of people are saying, 2015 sales, but, maybe since 2017 going forward, no, the sales of XRP were not security. But again, there's a reason why he keeps stating that this is not just about XRP. This is for the digital asset space. There's a reason why he's stating it. And that's why I tweeted out what I said, that people should have joined in this fight, like Coinbase and others, from the beginning. They should have joined Ripple from the beginning, because if the compromise, if the compromise is XRP, right? So the SEC says XRP sales, not security. XRP, if they don't, right? If they don't, investment contract this or that, I just feel as though the SEC is going to be able to give Ripple the asset XRP the clarity it needs and still continue to move on throughout space. I really, really do. I think that's the settlement, right? That's the settlement. Ripple, I don't see Ripple saying, well, okay, so you're going to say the sales of XRP is not a security, but you're not going to say other digital assets. No, we're not going to take that. That ain't happening. That's not happening. So I think that's where that little quote unquote compromise is, because they keep bringing up, we're doing this for the whole entire digital asset space. And I just think when you come out of this thing in summary judgment, I believe that every single asset community project is going to have to fight their own fight in their own way. But they had a chance to join in this fight from the beginning. So, I mean, Gary's already making hashtag Gary Gensler is not your friends, already making it clear with this whole Ian Bellino, suit. And then, making this claim about Ethereum transaction, they're letting the cat out of the bag. They're saying what their intentions are. And this, I just think, is an absolute reason for it. And so we'll see. I mean, what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments. Do you think a Ripple win gives clarity for the digital asset space as a whole, or does it just give clarity for XRP? Let me know in the comments. All right, guys, listen, this wraps up your XRP Ripple Daily News in around 0 to 10 minutes. I hope it has been of value to you. If it has, do me a favor, hit that like button. It certainly helps with the algorithm on YouTube, and subscribe to the channel. Ring the notification bell so that you know when we upload a video or when we do go live. I'm going to end this video like I do all of my videos and remind you guys of this. Old money doesn't want you to win. They don't want us to win. They would rather that we remain a cog in their perpetual wheel of trading our time for dollars. They don't want us to play in the same playground that they play in, where we allow our money to work for us. This is our chance to win, guys. The digital asset space is our chance to win. We are in the midst of the greatest transfer of wealth in the history of man. Are you participating, or are you standing on the sidelines? Here's what I do know, that the battle for you has already been fought, and the victory is yours. Go get it.